call the meeting to order and would ask Mr. Belcher to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, sure. Okay, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't have the oath paper to sign, but we will simply say that
We do.
My apologies. I should have taken the oath off of this agenda.
okay. All right, we have a member from the public here this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ruth Stanton with the League of Women Voters.
We appreciate you being here.
Absolutely.
I'd like to review the minutes from August 22nd, the regular meeting and certification hearing. Everybody's had a chance to read these since John sent them out via email here the other day. Did anybody have any additions or corrections to the minutes from the meeting? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
I so move.
Cindy's motion to approve as submitted. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. The minutes are approved as submitted. Old business, Mr. Bob.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under the old business, the polling place changes that we discussed in our last meeting for Cross Anchor Fire Station moving to the Trinity Fire Hobbiesville Station. Victor Mill Methodist being moved to New Jerusalem Baptist Church. Those were both approved by the delegation in late August. So those locations are reflected on the poll books and the ballot marking devices. So that occurred.
This is all up to date.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And on that note, you now have a list of all the current precincts, polling places, and polling place addresses that reflect our current precinct polling places, including New Jerusalem Baptist Church and Trinity Fire Hobbiesville Station down at Cross Anchor.
And I will assume that with your usual efficiency, that new voting cards been mailed to people who are affected by the changes.
Yes, sir. As soon as the delegation approved the changes, I went ahead and ordered cards from the SEC. They were sent in the middle of September.
You have to come back for addresses.
There are always a few.
No, okay. All right, sir.
And that's a change that should be very good for folks, especially over in New Jerusalem.
All right. Brings us to the new business. Item I, election call center.
Yes. So looking at item I or item 1 and item 2 there, the call center and the fail-safe precinct. My objective for this office, of course on election day, we're serving the voters, but our office staff need to be there to support our poll managers. That army of 101 clerks and those hundreds of poll managers that we have at the precincts, our staff, our full-time staff, need to be able to support them by being able to take their phone calls. Because those are the calls that will reduce the number of provisional ballots that we have to issue.
Correct.
And that we then have to hear at the provisional ballot hearing.
Absolutely right.
So, to that end, I have worked with IT to secure their training room to set up a call center. And then, in that call center, we will have 6 individuals that were budgeted to take the calls. We have a phone tree set up now that Shaniqua will activate on the 28th. The call center will be active from October 28th, that second week of early voting, through election day. And that phone tree will have options so that voters seeking information are directed to the call center. The call center will be able to use scvotes.gov with those voters providing their name, date of birth, and last four of their social, to look up their current voter registration information to see if it's up to date or if that voter needs to change it. They'll be able to tell them where their polling place is. They'll be able to answer those common questions such as when is early voting, where can I vote early, when do I need to return my absentee ballot, is it too late to get an absentee ballot? all of those questions that clog up our phone lines and make it difficult to serve voters at the counter, and then on election day that make it almost impossible for our clerks to get through to staff. So there will be options in the phone tree for voters that direct them, seeking information that directs them to the call center. There will be an option for poll workers that directs them to the front office staff. If the call center runs into an issue that is essentially above their pay grade, they can't answer it or they can't resolve it, then they'll transfer it to the front. But that should weed out thousands of calls seeking information
Wow,
that's available online,
that's awesome.
with the objective of making our front office staff available to take calls from clerks when they're calling for DMV checks and those other issues that they're trying to sort out, that they have to sort out in order to know what kind of ballot to issue that voter. And I'm really hoping that this improves their experience. On to that end, the other issue we have on election day is those hundreds of fail-safe voters that come down here to change their address and vote a fail-safe ballot. I'm going to put laptops in conference room 6 on election day with temps, with BRIMS access, and a guide, so that those fail-safe voters don't come through the front office. They go straight down the hall to conference room 6, they can fill out a change of address form, have their address updated, and vote a fail-safe ballot, and do it all in conference room 6 without having to bog down the front counter with a steady line of voters all day. Again, with a goal toward having our skilled staff available to support our clerks and poll managers at the polling place.
Now, where are all these temps coming? Are these people that, I mean, are you gonna be training them? I mean,
We
how is that gonna work?
We will. I have our call center temps already. I've got our 6 call center temps. 3 of them are currently front office temps, so they already have some experience in the front office. One of them has actually, Henry, you may remember Desiree Ross, who worked with us back in 2008. She was a student then, and she is back.
Wow.
So she's working in our call center. So she's come back. We have another one who is a former county employee who will be in the call center. So we have a good group of people that are very enthusiastic about helping.
Good. When are you gonna make known that phone number?
It's the same phone number.
Oh, I see.
It's just a
Okay.
tree, it
Yeah,
goes
there's
like,
just a
there's
tree.
certain
Yes.
number one.
If you're a voter seeking information, press 1. If you're a poll worker with an issue, press 2. And it will divert either to the call center or to the front office. There are sub-menus then if they're directing, like for absentee ballots or UOCAVA voters calling in. If they go through the phone tree and they say, I'm a voter, and then they get to the part that says, I'm a UOCAVA voter, they hit that, it'll direct them to Kayla. It won't send that to the call center, because we want people to get to a place that can help them. And we want them to have the level of help that they actually need. The call center can quite effectively look people up on SC Votes and check their address, tell them what's on their sample ballot, tell them where their polling place is. And that's the kind of thing that just bogs us down from being able to provide the skilled support that our clerks need.
Yeah, and that's very frustrating to the clerks.
Very
They
much
can't
so.
get in. Yeah.
Very much so.
Those are 2 profound, marvelous
Yeah.
things you got in
Yes,
place
you
to
are.
do.
That is
Commend you
wonderful.
and everybody because everybody knows how the phones just go nuts.
I'm curious, oh, sorry.
That's all I want to say.
I was
Great.
just curious about, you know, it's mostly fail-safe that come through the line, that big line. What's the other problems people have? I'm just curious.
On election day, the vast majority of what we have are fail-safe voters.
Okay.
We do have voters that come in here because they've always voted at this building during in-person absentee or voting early, and they come in because this is where they've always voted and they think they can vote here on election day. There will be signs up on the doors directing them, but the signs will have to be very specific so as not to confuse the fail-safe voters. But That and the fail-safe, it's really the fail-safe. Yes, we have some other issues where people come down here for stuff that they don't have to. Some people come in because they want to register so they can vote, and they don't realize that they don't. But also on election day, we are still open to the public who needs to come in and register to vote. So if the assessor's office is sending people downstairs to register so they can get that second form of ID for their 4%, we're still serving those customers. So we're open for all services on election day.
Don't forget about your table, you're gonna have absentee ballots coming in.
Yes, ma'am, that's not on here, thank you, Carmella. We will also on election day have a table set up for people returning their absentee ballots. They'll be set up in a line so that those are also not coming through the front.
But we had that, that was one of the last
Yeah,
things, we had
that's
set
the
out the
last-
hallway out
Yeah,
by the
one day gonna
restaurant.
help out again, Enrica's sister,
Yeah.
she gonna help
yeah.
out again with that.
Okay.
So the goal here being keep all unnecessary traffic out of the office.
That's great.
Provide them the resource they need to conduct the business that they need to conduct. Turning in that ballot or voting fail-safe, getting information through the call center, but keeping that traffic out of the office because we will be busy all day with DMV checks anyway. And I can't give temp staff access to Connect, the SNS Connect, the poll book system, to be able to put in those voters when we do DMV checks. So I can't have temps doing DMV checks because the process involves entering them in Browns, entering them in Connect, and pushing it out so that that voter can vote at their polling place.
Is there a way to, and it might be a water hall, is there a way to educate the public on, I mean, we're throwing fail-safe around because we know what it is. If you say fail-safe to the person on the street, they're gonna go, huh?
Yeah.
What?
Right.
Is there a way to kind of,
Just
and you were
like
throwing
exchange.
UOCAVA out and the terms we use that we all know
Right.
what they are. Is there a way on social media or a printout of, or something to educate them so they go, okay, this is what I'm doing, that means I am UOCAVA. So that's what I need to listen for.
So, yes, and scvotes.gov, which our website links to, and we have links to specific spots on SC Votes as well. They cover UOCAVA.
Okay.
Fail-safe voting is publicized, but not heavily for important reasons, because what we want people to do is update their address before election day. Because we don't want thousands of voters to say, well, I don't have to go ahead and update it, I can just go down to the office and vote on election day.
Well, and I had a guy
Because
just.
it will
yeah.
overwhelm the system down here because we are geared to election day voting at the precincts. We will have 8 ballot marking devices and 4 stations set up here to process those hundreds of voters, but we don't want thousands of people thinking that they can wait till election day.
Okay.
And I just
And
had,
fail-safe-
oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Fail-safe is also a very confusing process even to those in the know because there are many rules that apply
Right.
depending on when you moved. If you moved within your precinct and you're updating the address, you change your address and vote at that precinct. If you moved within the county but into another precinct, you can go to the location where you're on the books and vote a limited ballot and update your address. Or you can come down here, update your address, and vote a full
So
ballot.
educating them is no good.
And municipal elections complicate it further.
Right.
If you moved into the state from another state after the voter registration deadline, you're then eligible to vote fail-safe. But if you moved before the deadline, you're not. So it's so nuanced that having the information available but not heavily publicizing that is probably to the public's overall benefit because they may have misconceptions then about what they're
Yeah.
permitted to
Just
do.
don't overwhelm them.
Right. It's difficult enough to convince everyone to update their address and make sure they're registered on time and find their polling place.
So just as I was coming to the meeting, a gentleman just came to my office. Said he had recently moved here from the state of Maryland, thinks he was a registered voter in Taylors in Greenville County. And I said, well, why don't you come down here before the 14th so that if you're not fully registered, you can get that taken care of. If it's just a change of address, okay, but these people are so vague about what they have that I told them, get yourself down here with your wife sooner than later to make sure that it's taken care of. But you're right, the last minute stuff is just nuts.
It is.
Now, I know Monday's a holiday, but you are open Monday.
We are.
Okay.
We're open Monday.
Monday before, Monday the
No, the
4th?
14th is a holiday.
Okay.
So post office and banks are closed.
What is
It's-
it?
Well, it's what we used to call Columbus Day now. It's Columbus Day and Indigenous
Indigenous
Day.
people.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is the county
Um,
closed that day?
No, but banks and post office are closed. So I mean, people always get confused when there's no banking and no post office, that somehow everything is closed. But-
Right,
Chick-fil-A
I believe the federal government's closed that day too.
We don't even close for
No, they are closed, that's right. And that's the last day of, if I understand, for voter registration in this
Yes.
extended
Yes,
thing that's okay.
yes, but we are open.
Okay, and that's gonna be another little confusing thing where people are gonna say, well, I couldn't go because it was closed that day, so, okay.
Well, I know our fellows still have the sheriff's department hauling them around, but a lot of the people that are coming down here, okay, we got some extra security kind of available.
I have requested additional deputies for this site, and I know that Andrew has said that he had at least one lined up extra for this building. I requested at least one more, preferably two, because to be quite honest, we're going to need somebody dedicated to the parking lot, especially that last week.
Yeah.
Because that's the last week to pay taxes in October. So the front lot will be a madhouse, and our back lot will be a madhouse.
You see the
Have you
storms?
talked with Cole, have you talked with Cole about maybe getting the employees to move out of here for that last week? 'Cause we've
Yes.
done that before.
Yes, sir.
And it got good response from
Yes, sir.
everybody here.
Yes, sir. I've already contacted Mike Emery and made arrangements for parking spaces to be blocked for voters.
Okay.
That part has been handled. The generator will be in here next Friday, the backup generator. So we'll be ready in the event of any power outages. We'll be ready to keep early voting rolling.
Okay.
Item 3.
Board members. So, on election day, I hope that all of you will be available all day to help with site visits, people issues at sites in particular, candidate reps or otherwise, just to help with the burden on our staff, because our technicians are almost always busy with equipment. Ballot jams in a scanner or poll books that have not been plugged into power, or have been hooked up wrong, etc. So having the board available to assist with that, and possibly having some of you available or around to be able to chip in at the counter if need be, or give folks some relief when they need to catch a break for a minute, would be really beneficial. And then also, what I would really like to do, if I can know that everyone's gonna be available that day, is divide the county more or less into zones, so that I can communicate to each of you what zone you will be in, and if there is a need to send something out, like more provisional ballots, or more ballot cards, anything like that, I could look at it and say, hey, Cindy, I need you to go over to Woodruff Leisure Center, or Rick, I need you to go down to Mount Calvary, and
So you know where we
know
live then,
exact-
you know, have a good idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can take your addresses and
Okay.
kind of put you in a zone and make sure that we've got it pretty well, so that if we need something somewhere, I know exactly which one of you, and staff also know exactly which one of you to call for that precinct to say, hey, X is going on there, would you please go check it out?
Where do you want us to physically be at 7 a.m. to begin to get these calls? I mean, does it matter, or you just call us on the cell phone, or do you want us here for something?
I don't think you need to be here at 7 a.m. if you're visiting some sites.
Right.
And Carmilla's getting together the list of sites that the PLTs are visiting. Once we know where all the PLTs will be,
Now,
because
who are
IT,
PLTs?
polling location technicians.
Okay.
They're,
IT
It used to be called rovers.
Yeah.
right, rovers.
Okay, okay.
Our IT staff help us on election morning with that, and we have a map, GIS gives us a map with all the polling places, the IT staff that are participating, they pick their sites. Once they've all picked their sites, and those have been extinguished, basically, the sites that are left, I can then divide, so that every site gets a visit by either one of our polling location technicians, one of you, or Malik or Michael, our technicians. I want every site to get a visit
From
early,
somebody.
early on election morning to make sure zero tapes are posted, the equipment's open and running the way it's supposed to be. The poll books, especially the poll books, are up. And then if there's an issue, you can call in and get us, we can give you a PLT guide, I can send that out. But just making sure everything is running the way it's supposed to first thing in the morning, because in a presidential, we always have those lines. We have the people waiting at the polling place at 6 a.m. and the line just keeps growing until we actually open polls.
So what if we get there and there's a problem because I don't really know how to do the machines or anything?
Right, so the important part in this is having you there to be able to identify that there's a problem, so you can call and let us know that that site's got an issue
Now,
with
would we
this.
call your cell number, or who do we call?
If you call into the main line and go through the tree has an option to divert you for
I like
text.
calling your cell
You,
number.
as a board
You see
member-
how he
as-
dodged that one?
Yeah,
Well,
because I've done that before.
well, and I do this because.
And I worry you. I'm sorry.
I say this because election morning, a lot of people are blowing up my phone.
Yeah,
And getting through, you can also, if you want to, text me.
Okay.
Even if I'm on the phone, I get that text.
So remind me of the
And I can
main,
see.
I'm sorry, the main number that we would call if we're not gonna call you. What is it?
864.
It's right here, I think.
Oh, this
It
one
is,
here.
it
Okay, well, I
is.
have that
It
in my
is.
phone.
It's
I just
right
wanna
on
make
top
sure
of-
that's okay.
Top of the agenda. Thank you.
There we go. I have that in my phone.
But yeah, if you do want to call me and you don't get me, text me. Because at 7 a.m., my phone is blowing up. So if you text me, then I can also forward that to individuals and say, hey, here's what's going on. But being able to identify issues early. Because what we don't want is somebody calling in, a poll worker calling in to report an issue that somebody either doesn't enter in the help desk system or misinterprets, and it makes its way down the list, and they're suffering with an issue all day long.
So you're gonna assign us those areas you want us to be visiting early that morning?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All
Yes,
day.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am, all day. That'll be
Yeah.
the zone all day, but that
Yeah.
morning, I will let you know the sites within that zone that need a
That needs
visit.
somebody to visit.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, with all the population growth of Spartanburg County, I'm guessing that this is probably gonna be a record number of people turning out to vote in this county.
That's my expectation.
So
Whether the
what is our
percentage-
registered voters now, do you know approximately?
I'm actually gonna cover that in the director's report.
Okay. Are you gonna talk about what you think percentage turnout we're gonna be too?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then
Yes,
I'm jumping
I
ahead,
will.
okay, I'll shut
Well,
up.
we can all have our guesses on
Yeah.
that.
We all have.
Well, no, there's some
I have a
historical stuff
figure
that
in
you get
mind.
pretty close, yeah, okay.
Right. But yeah, that's, when it comes to the election day assistance from the board, I just wanted to convey that for this election in particular, having all of the board available to support the office that day is really important, because we know that volume is going to be so high because of the record turnout.
The daylight savings time changes the Sunday before, or is it the Sunday after?
It is the Sunday before. It is the first Sunday in November.
All right, so we'll have a little more daylight,
Should,
because
yes.
the morning is pretty dark right
So
now.
we're setting back, we jump back this.
Yeah,
time.
but we'll get a little more light in the morning, which
Yeah.
is helpful for
Right.
this 6 a.m., 7 a.m. lineup.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will communicate more on those assignments in the coming days.
Should we put flak jackets on or anything like that?
I think we'll be all right with that.
By the way, I know in public participation, did Mrs. Stanton want to say anything?
Yeah, well, we can get to her as soon as we can.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
felt
so,
like she needed to hear this first, maybe get some questions in her mind, as opposed to letting her
Okay.
go there in a second.
and if the board would like, we can move public participation to the end. So, in future agendas, so that any questions
Yeah, I think that's
That's a
good.
good
may be
idea.
answered during the board meeting.
Because I don't have to have any more thoughts today, I have one good thought here
The director's report now, is that where we are?
Are you worn out now? Need it out?
today.
Yes, sir. Director's report.
We're ready. I like numbers.
Okay, so director's report. First off, Helene presented challenges in so many ways, and I am glad that all of you are safe, present, and property damage was no worse than it was for everyone, because that was a historic storm. And the timing, definitely could have been worse. I'm glad if it had to happen, that it happened when it did, because we have all our equipment prepped now, and it did not impact our actual election operations. As a result of Helene, though, the State Democratic Party did sue to extend the voter registration deadline. That order was granted. So the new voter registration deadline is October 14th. In person, that's 5 p.m. We are open that day. Since we do not get Indigenous Peoples' Day, formerly Columbus Day, I had not even considered that that's a federal holiday. You don't think about the holidays that you don't get.
Right.
But we are open. Online, email, and fax registrations will be due by 11:59 p.m. Mail must be postmarked on or before October 14th, and this is an important point because that means people are gonna need to get their mail in the mailbox. Since that's a federal holiday, actually by Saturday, the 12th. Because
That's right, there's gonna be no postmark on the 14th.
exactly, and I do not know if the state has considered that, because I took these dates directly from SC Votes.
No, they haven't. That's why I was started talking about that federal holiday, because it slips by most places.
Yes, it does. I will bring that to the state's attention so that they can update SC Votes, and I will update that date on our extended VR deadline post on our website, because that's important. I had been telling people, make sure you get it in the mail, because if you can't put it in the night of the 14th, it won't have a postmark of the 14th. This is not like doing taxes. The post office is not open late to get your postmark on there. So, that being a holiday, the day before being a Sunday, it effectively, that
So it's the
mail,
12th.
that's going to need to be in the mail before the post office's last pickup on the 12th.
So on your,
Has anybody talked to the post office in South Carolina
That,
about having the absentee ballots which come in by mail are generally marked differently than normal mail? In the past, haven't they?
Right, yes.
Camilla?
Yeah.
yes,
To be able to have somebody there to postmark those as they come and go through things?
well, this being not absentee ballots, it may be.
This is the- this is the
yeah,
registration.
Yeah, I understand.
These may be in envelopes that are unrecognizable, but it's a statewide issue. The state would have to do it with the
Okay.
whole state post office. I can inquire, since they've put that date out there, and it's a holiday. I can inquire to see about that and let you know what they say.
okay,
Looks to me like they may ought to update their mail drop boxes slots to have, when you put through there, it automatically stamps it. Daytime stamps it when you put it in the slot.
That would be very nice. That would be very nice.
That's my second thought for the day.
That would be an outstanding use of technology. And save labor too.
Yeah.
Voter registrations have dramatically increased in recent months. In the first quarter of this fiscal year, our staff processed 8,436 new registrations. Of course, most of those come in through DMV queues or online. We also process 5,090 address changes. About 40% of these came in the month of September. So it is non-linear. It's definitely ramping up as we get closer to the election.
Now, when you say first quarter, you're talking January, March?
Fiscal year.
Oh,
July,
fiscal year.
July,
Oh,
August,
okay.
September.
Okay, fiscal year, got it.
Sorry,
Okay,
I should have put an FY in there.
that's fine.
But July through September, that really ramped up as we expect. We currently have 210,075 active registered voters. Earlier in the year, that was like right about 200,000 active registered voters. So we've added a lot of active registered voters
Yeah.
this year.
Population growth. Let me, before I forget, I got a notice from my homeowner association last night that they will not have the debris picked up in our neighborhood until after Christmas. Have we done any examination of the polling place to make sure there's no barriers or you?
He's gonna get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to
Okay, I'm
that.
jumping way ahead, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I know there's a lot of questions as we prepare
When I was on
for
a
this.
plane last night at midnight, I'm absolutely, I'm thinking about all these questions, so I'm sorry.
Well,
Kind of coming out at random.
and Helene presented new obstacles to have to maneuver through. Of those 210,000 active registered voters, I'm expecting a record number of voters to vote. Now, whether or not turnout percentage sets a record in Spartanburg County is a different question. But we have more voters than we've ever had, so we will have more people vote than we've ever had before. I'm preparing for over 70% of the voters to turn out. Some precincts usually run closer to 80% turnout in a presidential election.
Right.
So that's the target we're looking at.
And
I'm
look-
expecting 110,000 or so to vote on election day, and about 60,000 to vote early. So that would be about 170,000 or so voters. Plus, right now, we've had about 3,100, 3,200 absentees mailed. So I'm really expecting that we're running close to that 170,000 voters who participate in
That
this election.
60,000 is pretty well what I thought, because when we did it at the auditorium, I think it was like 66,000 people run through the auditorium, somewhere like that.
We did 43,000 in-person absentees that year and like 20,000 mail-in absentees, 20,000 and change mail-ins. We had a total of about 63 or 64,000 absentee voters in 20. And that's basically what I'm basing my 60,000 early votes on, is mail-in absentee is severely curtailed back 150 of 2022 with early voting creation, because you must now be absent on election day and the full duration of early voting to receive a mail-in absentee ballot, unless you fit one of the other absentee criteria, such as age or ability. But that means instead of 40 to 45,000 people voting early, we had those 21,000 mail-in absentee ballots, we're gonna have 15,000, 18,000 of those people also vote early probably. So I'm preparing for 60,000 people to vote early. And that's equipment deployment to our EBCs is based on that. We will have almost as much equipment in Conference Room 6 as we had in Memorial Auditorium. We just won't have parking spaces or the space for lines. But we will have almost as much equipment in Conference Room 6 as we had in Memorial Auditorium. We had 6 check-in stations at Memorial Auditorium. Counting our curbside station, we will have 6 check-in stations here. We had 20 ballot markers at Memorial Auditorium, we will have 18 here, and 2 scanners. So
All in that
total,
one room.
all in that one room.
Yeah.
Those kiosks
Significantly smaller.
that Henry bought are marvelous. We can put 16 ballot markers on 4 kiosks. So that is tremendous for space savings. We will have more than double the equipment deployed for early voting in this election that we had in 2020. I'm deploying 99.5% of the equipment we have for this election. I may jump ahead of myself a bit here though. Yeah, I did. I jumped a little bit ahead of myself, so I'll get to that in a second. DMV renewals, Helene impacted this too. Because of Helene, the DMV has extended renewals for credentials expiring from September 27th to October 31st. Those are valid until November 1st. This impacts our early voting centers because, as well as absentee ballot return. Because those photo IDs that we check must be unexpired. In this instance, we're going to have to pay attention to when it expired, if it's expired. Because if it's between September 27th and October 31st, it's still valid.
We're gonna
Because
stress that at the,
at the
the
early,
training.
at the early voting training. It won't impact election day because that's after November 1st and this extension expires then. But that is a point that we will have to watch during early voting and absentee ballot return. We currently have 793 poll managers signed up for training. That's still increasing. We're getting stacks of applicants like this every day coming in. I'm really hoping that we end up training over 900 poll managers for this election. That would be great. I believe that would be about as many as we've ever had trained. We have a lot of new poll managers. We now active managers in the system, meaning people who have worked since that worked November 2023 forward. We have over 2,000 individuals who have worked that series of elections.
How are we doing on our 16-year-olds?
We're doing really well on students. We have, if I recall correctly from the email, the last email I saw, we have 67 students now, plus we have 31 college students. So we have 98 students
Super.
that came in through those initiatives, which is excellent. I'm
Poll
loving
workers
that.
love them.
And we have
They have the energy.
additional students that didn't come in through the initiative. Through Ann's outreach, we have some other students that just applied organically through SC Votes. So we should have, including those, we should be a little over 100, 105 students total in this election, which I'm loving it because they're very enthusiastic. Elizabeth Zach's class was in for training Tuesday, and great group of college students. On that note, those poll managers have a new handbook, and I'm giving each of you a copy so you can kind of familiarize yourselves
Thank you.
with what our poll clerks and workers are doing on election day. And if you carry it with you on election day, if they have a question or if you need to address a concern, you can do hopefully what a lot of our poll workers seem to maybe not do in the rush, and use the handbook to find that answer, show them that answer. It's a great new handbook. It's color-coded by section. They've put a lot more color pictures in it for equipment setup and such. And the PowerPoints they provide for training, the slides are color-keyed to match the section of the handbook that goes with them to help our workers flag pages. And they have page numbers on those slides to help them go to exactly the direct page as quickly as possible. It's a great new handbook. We've been waiting basically all year for this thing. We were originally supposed to have this before the primaries. There were some changes. They expected some changes to the voting system, so they delayed it. I'm grateful in retrospect they delayed it so that it's in the handbook and not a supplement. Because the supplements are usually printed in black and white. Now we have pretty pictures in color.
And what's great about it, you can see it.
Yes.
Big letters.
Yes, it is this is the best edition yet. And they showed up just in time for Elizabeth Zach's class to get them. Election day voting equipment, we're deploying, we have received all of our updated equipment, it's all been updated. The new scanners, the printers on them is very fast, so fast you almost can't cancel the configuration report before it's out. Very quick. It's gonna be a nice improvement. We got new flash drives to go with them, bigger flash drives. We got some 8 gig and 16 gig flash drives. We have 212 ballot styles in this election. But thankfully, most ballots are pretty short. We have one constitutional amendment, and we've got 4 fire districts holding referenda. That's Cherokee Springs, Hilltop, which is holding a millage and a bond referendum, New Prospect, and Westview Fair Forest. Those are the only questions on the ballot. So everybody has one amendment, which is short, and all of the fire referenda are also short. So people should move through the equipment quickly when marking their ballot. The e-poll book file is due October 16th. The deadline extension did not impact the EPB file creation or printing the paper book. Both files were created on schedule. The poll books will update automatically with their nightly uploads from Friends with new registrations. The paper file, once the deadline passes, the state will print a paper supplement list to go with the original list generated after the original registration deadline. So in the event that there is a need to go to the backup procedures with the paper voter registration list at any point, then the poll workers, and we'll cover this with clerks in particular, we'll cover it with managers as well, but clerks especially, they'll have to check 2 lists before they say somebody's not on it. They'll have to check the original main list plus check the supplement. But that was a way that the state got around their big delays in providing these lists. The ballot markers we're deploying on election day, we're deploying 726. That will cover, at the rate of 1 per 250 voters as specified in law, that covers 181,500 voters on election day. So we should have more than enough equipment. It's 99.5% of the equipment we have. I only have 3 spares left. But the good news is, all that early voting equipment will not be used on election day, so we will have that we can pull from if we need to redeploy any replacement ballot markers or scanning. Well,
And how many BMDs are you deploying to the 4 sites?
The 4 early voting sites are going to have 46 ballot markers at the 4 sites. 18 here, 11 at Boiling Springs, 9 at Middle Tiger, and 7 down at Woodruff. Middle Tiger and Woodruff are pretty space limited as well on that. but-
Each one will have at least 2 of the 300s?
No, Boiling Springs and here will have 2 300s. Middle Tiger and Woodruff, having thus far been our lightest turnout sites, will have 1 300. If Middle Tiger's turnout picks up to a point that it seems like they would benefit from it, I can send them one, but I think 1 300 will run 9 BMDs just fine without there being a line. I was more concerned with just the sheer number of voters going through 18 BMDs here with 1 scanner.
John, while you're talking about early voting, if I understand correctly, it starts Monday, the 21st, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's at 9 a.m.?
8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily, Monday through Saturday. We're open October 21st through November 2nd, only being closed Sunday, October 27th during that period.
All right, so there's 2 Saturdays it's open,
Two
right?
Saturdays.
Now, and the location of Woodruff Library, Middle Tiger River Library, Boiling Springs, here meaning the auditorium?
No, here meeting conference room 6.
You're not using auditorium at all?
No, sir.
Okay, that's good.
No, sir, we're using conference room 6. If at any point in the future it would be beneficial to add another site in town, I will probably look at using either another library in the city or possibly using Cleveland Park's lower level to split it, because just the sheer volume of people at Memorial Auditorium is overwhelming for almost everyone. I don't know that I would ever recommend, it was a fantastic facility in 2020 when we could only have 1 site. But I don't know that I would ever recommend having one facility that large in light of the fact that we can distribute up to 7 facilities
Yeah.
around the county. I would rather bring them to the people, to their neighborhoods. We have,
So
as
11, let me make sure, it's
Okay.
11 to Saturday, 5 PM it stops, right?
6 PM, 6 PM every day.
6 PM,
But
okay.
it's not open on Monday before the election. It's not open on the 4th.
Correct. It
Right,
is
so
not-
11 to Saturday is the end.
Yes. 6 PM, Saturday, November 2nd is the end. Anyone in line at the end of the day at 6 PM, when we announce that polls are closed for the day, anyone in line, of course, gets to vote. So we expect to still be voting people at 6:30 quite often. Maybe they're in the end of the second week, it may even be 7 o'clock with lines, but
All right, just another point on that, ending time. It's best that our poll clerks are using their cell phones for the time. Because if you use a standard watch, you'd be running fast or slow. But everybody here, if you would have a smart watch or a phone, you'd open up, we all got the same time. So I would hope that the clerks are going to use a phone to determine when to make that announcement, opening and closing.
yes, sir, that's what we tell them.
Yeah.
We tell them to use their phones.
Okay.
Because
Thank you.
it is standard, it sets off the cell towers. It's basically universal. Everyone can pull out their cell phone and see at the same time.
Okay.
Absentee ballots, we have mailed, and this was through Tuesday when I did the report, but we mailed 3,153 absentee ballots through Tuesday. Kayla uploaded another 46 to the FTP yesterday. So the applications are still coming in. The deadline to return an application for an absentee ballot to us is 5 PM on October 25th. That is set in state law, even though the office is open until 6 for early voting. Law specifies 5 PM on the 25th. We have a ballot remake station for enhanced voting. UOCAVA ballots predominantly are sent by email. Most UOCAVA, that being uniform and military overseas citizens, most of them want a ballot delivered by email, and they have that option, which is a great option for them because it avoids the slow overseas mailers. We use enhanced voting for this. Enhanced ballot is a system the state has contracted with to provide this. And this system automatically sends an email to UOCAVA voters who have requested a ballot be delivered by email. Automatically sends them an email with where they can sign in with their credentials to receive their ballot that they can make their selections on, and then it transmits it back to us encrypted, where we receive it, we can then decrypt it, print that onto a scannable ballot. So we don't have to duplicate those. They can go straight onto a scannable ballot. Instead of what we used to do, where we would take the ballot PDF file, rip it into individual ballots, each one typically being 1 or 2 pages PDFs, and emailing those, then they come back and you print them on letter or legal size paper that's obviously not scannable, and then having to duplicate all of these hundreds of UOCAVAs with a 3-person team. Now, we can get those back and print them directly onto a scannable ballot. They have provided an additional resource to us, which is a remake station. Now we can take these and we get a barcode. We can scan that barcode, the remake station will pull it up, and print that ballot. So it makes it very simple to take UOCAVA ballots from that electronic delivery service and put it straight into a scannable paper ballot.
Rosemary would be very happy.
She would love this. But this is a really great system because it also takes some of the margin of human error out of UOCAVAs, because the system receives updates from VRIMS multiple times a day when voters apply for an absentee ballot using one of those UOCAVA reasons. It receives it and it automatically sends them that email. So we don't have to do that. All we have to do is track and make sure that the emails that need to be going out are going out.
Talk about numbering it and label it.
Yes, sir. The remake station that we receive, it has barcode scanner and it has cameras and displays so that the public can watch what we're doing. It can also be used, in addition to printing those Uwcaba ballots on a scannable ballot, we can use it to remake or duplicate unscannable ballots, absentee ballots. So those ballots that have been torn or have coffee on them, or that have check marks instead of bubbles, or they use a pencil instead of a pen, we can take those over there to the remake station, duplicate them with our 3-person team, watching us do it. The public can see what we're doing. When we remake it, we will make the selections on the screen. It will print that ballot on a scannable ballot, print a unique identifier on it. You know how we used to duplicate ballots and we had to write original one on the original, we had to write duplicate one on the new one. So this now will print a unique identifier on the new ballot that it's creating. And it will have a label printer that will print a matching identifier on a label that can be stuck on the original ballot. So it automates that for us. We don't have to keep track of which number we're on, what team we are. So it automates that, which should
That's amazing.
really, really improve that process for us, really speed it along. Helene, everyone's getting cleaned up. Our polling places also are getting cleaned up. Right now, Malik is calling all of our polling locations to schedule delivery and pickup of equipment, but also to make sure that they are ready for us, that they don't have storm damage, that they're clear, and that we don't need to make an emergency move due to Helene. So that's underway. It'll take a few days to finish that process with 101 sites. I do know that all of our early voting centers are good to go.
Good.
But we are working on that. I waited some time to start that simply because we needed people to have their power back on and be back at work before we even started calling. There was no point in wasting efforts calling places that were where nobody was back to yet. So now that basically everyone's reopened and back to what is a semblance of normal now, we are following up with them to make sure they're good. Our public test is scheduled for Tuesday, October 29th at 10 a.m. That notice is posted in the office and online. Our absentee ballot opening for the outer envelope only will begin Monday, November 4th at 9 a.m. We have a good sized team to do that. We've got 2 letter openers, so we will, I think, move very quickly through that with the numbers of absentee ballots that we have. I'll be very surprised if we end up with more than 5,000, maybe 6,000 absentee ballots tops at the rate that the applications are coming in. On election day, tabulation room where Carmilla and Michelle are reading ballots and reading flash drives, access to that room is going to be limited to only those personnel that need to go in there. It's very critical that we not break their train of thought when they're running that DS-450. Because when it stops, it puts this message on the screen telling you how to handle the ballots. It tells you why it stopped and how those ballots need to be handled. If you handle them wrong, if you get distracted and handle them wrong, you can end up having to rescan an entire stack of ballots to start over. So we're going to limit access to that room to only the personnel that need to be in there. It's a public process, so there's going to be a camera in that room, and we're going to display to a TV. So
And where's the TV gonna be?
my plan is to have,
Conference 6?
well, Conference Room 6 is going to be open for fail-safe. So the TV, my plan is to have it in IT's conference room. IT has a new conference room, so we're going to borrow their conference room since we are so short on space of our own.
And where's that?
It is right down the hall from us. From our office, go past conference room 6, take a right down that long hallway, and their conference room is down there on the left. They have a new one where public defenders vacated. So we'll have TVs set up in there to broadcast that, so the public can see it without actually being a threat to any kind of ballot security, as well as a distraction to those running the scanners. And staff and board also, we're all gonna stay out of that room unless we're needed in there for something. will stay out because I don't want to distract Carmella and Michelle when they're running this 450. Last thing I want to do is be 3,000 ballots in and somebody realize that they've misplaced ballots that should have been out stacked and rescanned, and they've included them in what was saved, and we have to clear and start over. So the objective is to reduce distractions for them. As I say, that night we'll have viewing, or that day we'll have viewing in IT's conference room. And that's kind of gonna be my standard going forward, is public viewing for a lot of these secure processes being by video. So that we can put cameras in spaces, the public can see what's happening, but we don't actually have the public in a room with our people. Absentee opening will still be a public viewable process in our space. We don't have a camera for every space yet that we can broadcast to TVs, but the objective in future years is to add cameras that can be broadcast in all those areas where we do public processes.
You know, everybody's so concerned about security and cheating, I think this helps.
Exactly.
You know, that you don't have a lot of extra people in there, and people can't say, well, what were they doing?
Exactly. I want to be transparent by letting people watch, while also improving our security
that's
by
great.
keeping unvetted personnel out of those spaces. Election results will be available on the TVs in conference room 6 after 7 p.m. That one, as soon as fail-safe voting is done, we will break down the tabulators, get it out of the room, break down the laptops, get them out of the room, and basically convert that room over to public viewing of
You don't have
results.
the little laptop for me?
We'll have a laptop in there for you so that you can display results. I expect that it will be after 8 o'clock before we really have results to show. We can get absentee uploaded pretty quickly, but early voting, because we can't close those scanners until after 7 p.m. without committing a felony. And it takes time. We're going to have probably 14 flash drives to close due to the volume of ballots and the limited number you can put on a flash drive. It's going to take time to close 14 flash drives. So it's going to take probably close to an hour to begin getting those first big batches of early voting results in. And it will probably take another hour to finish closing all the flash drives and get all the early voting results in. The good thing is, as election day results start coming in and we're reading those sticks, we'll keep updating the results. I think because the results read in so quickly, it's my expectation that everybody will probably be back in here by 11, and we'll probably have all the precincts in and displayed by 11 that night. Some have told me that sounds optimistic. I'm pretty confident we usually have everybody back in here by about 9 o'clock, regardless of the size of the election. I know presidentials are bigger and we may have lines that push us out, but typically about an hour and a half past poll close, 2 hours past poll close, we've got our last folks in. So if there's an hour wait, then by 10 o'clock, I expect those people will probably be back here. So,
It's gonna be a long night. We will be here probably till the wee hours of the early morning.
exactly. It's gonna be a long night. I do-
2008, I think we got out here like at 2 a.m.
Yes,
We did.
it was early in the morning.
We did.
Well, 20.
You bring the
Okay,
drinks?
Well, wait a minute, we
so,
jumped.
that check-in, that numbers thing, y'all do it then, I can't think of the name of it.
The
When
audit-
the audit, are you gonna have some extra, cause I always hate for those poll workers, those
Oh,
clerks
oh,
standing in that long line, waiting just to
The
do that.
the reconciliation sheet.
Yes, the reconciliation.
Yes, the plan is to have a couple of people doing the reconciliation sheets, a couple of stations for those
Okay,
to do the reconciliation sheets.
and take in,
And-
how do you, if I'm gonna do the same thing, I'm an older,
Right.
a
We-
strong man, guy, you know, one of those young guys.
Right, we are lining up quite a few people for check-in
Okay.
right now because we can't have too many people for check-in that night. There's so much to bring in. So we should have ample manpower because what we want to do is be able to get everything in, get it organized, get as much stuff on the shelf in order as possible. So to that end, bringing in extra manpower, younger, strong manpower to handle all these heavy boxes, bags, cases, and get it on the shelf in order so it's easy to go back to exactly what you need as we prepare for certification. So doing that, everyone will have a task there that night too, because checking off stuff and making sure that we're running through and getting everything back is very important. But we will have a lot of additional help to get the stuff in and where it needs to be and go through it. Ballots coming back in, the blank ones, the unmarked ones, we're deploying a lot of ballots. We just got 200,000 ballot cards yesterday. They've been ordered 6 weeks and they finally made it. So we have 250,000 ballots on hand for this election, plus the full face paper ballots that should be in soon. Those were ordered last month, and it always takes a little while to get them printed. Actually, Print-Elect called me and said we're waiting to ship because we knew Helene was coming that way and we didn't want ballots sitting somewhere getting soaked.
That's good.
So, yeah, that was very nice on their part. So we will have plenty of ballots on hand. After the election, Wednesday morning, it's November 6th, 9 a.m., downstairs, conference room 6. That's where our hand count audit will be.
You want us there?
You are welcome to attend. I have my auditors submitted to the state because the state has to approve. You're welcome to attend the hand count audit. It's a public process.
But we have no
You have no-
responsibility.
You have no
Okay.
responsibility or obligation. I'd love to see you there, simply because, with the exception of Henry, who's seen our audits in the past, I don't think any of the rest of you have watched our hand count audit process.
Okay.
But it is outstanding.
So that, tell me that, Dave.
November
November
6th.
Right here, second to last item there.
Yes, second to last item, November 6th, 9 a.m., conference room 6, public process. The notice is already posted on our bulletin board, it's already online. It's been shared with parties. I want the public there because there's so much skepticism that the machines count it right, and we do our jobs right. I want them to be there to see us hand count ballots, so that they can see that we conduct a blind hand count, and then when we have counted and written our numbers down, we go to the public and open the tape and show them that it matches. So, 9 a.m. conference room 6, Wednesday, November 6th. And then certification is Friday, November 8th at 10 a.m. in conference room 6.
Very good. Good report. Thank you, John.
There's a lot to unpack there, but it is, big election coming up, but we are ready.
You've done a good
Sounds
job
like it.
trying to
Okay.
make it as easy as possible.
To the miscellaneous report, two things from my standpoint. Hey, we got enough stickers, people just go crazy with stickers. And we've run out of them in the past.
We have, the state is sending stickers. Have we received the new stickers?
Yeah.
Okay, the state is supposed to be sending stickers. They actually have multiple designs this time. They have stickers in English and Spanish. And, their recommendation is to put stickers out and let folks pick the sticker they want. But we should have plenty of stickers because I paid the invoice for the stickers from Palmetto Project. So we didn't have to destroy those thousands and thousands of stickers. So-
Don't forget about the other sticker I'm a future voter for the little kids.
Yes, there
Oh,
is.
that's right.
There is a sticker for kids, I'm a future voter, that we're supposed to be receiving
They'll
as
love
well.
that.
Yeah.
They will. And the state's sending us all new, they're still sending all new absentee envelopes, which we don't really need that many of, but they send them, since we use a vendor. They're sending all new posters for polling places. They've sent beautiful full-color open close guides for the equipment. There are images of those guides in the new handbook. So we have received a lot of new media from the state. And they have an excellent prep for the polls site at scvotes.gov as well that we try to publicize. The challenge on that note, media right now, is we get lost in the hurricane coverage. all the media, that the county is making half a dozen posts a day right now. And voting posts get buried quickly because you don't get to have that time where you're the only post. So we're still working to get word out about everything, but the state is doing a very good job on social media and getting
Yeah,
out that
I
prep for
get
the
something every
polls.
day.
They're doing a very good job with that.
The second point I had is some ID for each of the board members, because we've got a lot of new people there who we are unfamiliar to.
Yes.
And, because at the last election, when I went to one of the polls, the clerk almost wouldn't let me do anything.
Okay.
In terms of observing and so
Right.
forth. So I wasn't gonna push it with it.
Okay. All of you have your county badge, right? Okay. Make sure you're wearing the badge while you're out there on election day. And then if need be, I can also get some badges made.
Yours says voter registration, mine says clerk of court. But it's also, it also works through this door here. for this
Exactly
business.
what? Okay, so everyone except Henry says voter registration.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let me see if I can get.
oddball.
Yeah.
It's always been the case.
Let me check with Andrew and see if you can get a second badge, maybe that doesn't have the key card on it though,
Yeah.
but it says voter registration to wear when you're out there.
Okay.
Because we tell our clerks and managers that county staff will have their county ID. So that's what we tell them. Our IT folks that are coming out as polling location technicians, they wear their badge. Our staff wear their badge. Do you want a different kind of badge than the county badge? I mean, we can try to get something made up that says, board voter
I just
registration.
raised a
badge.
point, make sure
No,
we all
that's
got
what-
some
that's
kind of
what
ID.
it
Yeah.
This has always worked for
Since
me.
voter
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I wonder if that clerk of court on yours just simply threw them off, or COC. A lot
They
of
just
people
think you're
probably
there to
don't know.
arrest them, that's all.
So you never got one that has to ask you?
Whose
I
ID
had
do
one
you
when I
have?
retired.
Yeah, but I'm talking about.
Is that your
after you
son's
were on the
picture?
board.
Yeah.
No, I
2006.
wasn't sure I had access.
You go.
I know.
I'm just wondering who that kid is on your
I
ID.
know.
Anybody else have anything
Of course,
on
mine.
miscellaneous
That's
to bring
15
up?
years
Rick?
old. Is it?
No, sir.
Cindy, you got anything to bring up?
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
Wilhelmina?
No, he covered everything.
It was
Sherry?
great.
He's good.
Just to let you know, Mr. Thompson is absent. He is in an airplane going somewhere for a meeting, therefore he could not attend with us by phone, so he did let me know he was gone. Now, to our League of Women Voters, what's on your mind this morning? Ruth?
I think y'all are making some great preparations, so thank you. I'm a poll manager, so I'm one of the little people out there. And we loved our PLT technician person who walks in pretty early in the day, which is very helpful. And then one time I got to work with a student assistant poll manager, and she was so enthusiastic that she made us all feel more energetic. And we helped her learn all the stations, so that she felt like a real part of the team and was really excited about it. I think you pointed out you're gonna get in touch with the state about the mail-in deadline for that voter registration, because there may be some people that are thinking that they have till Monday to get it in the mail, and they'll be surprised. And the league, if there's something that we can do to help get you some more people power, if there's something you need, we can try to put the word out.
We all have always been good supporters of this office.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
always been most appreciated.
Yeah, good work.
Okay.
All right, if there's nothing else, no more business, then we'll adjourn the board meeting.